Hello, everybody. This is Rabbi Stephen, Rashbi in the house, and this week's sermon for August 16th, Friday, and it's called Letting Them In. Many of you have probably heard the latest current events news regarding Israel. Israel and AIPAC, which is the American Israel Public Action Committee, periodically host trips by U.S. Congresspeople to tour Israel. This is to promote and foster understanding and cooperation between the two countries and for good public relations. In 2018, the first two Muslim women were elected to the House of Representatives. Rashida Tlaib is Palestinian American, and Ilhan Omar is Somalian. Both have been very antagonistic and even hostile to Israel. There has been a lot of controversy over remarks and references, and both have been accused of being anti-Semitic. Both, of course, are sympathetic to BDS, the Boycott, Divest, and Sanction program that is Palestinian-born. Those in favor contend that Israel is occupying the Palestinian territories and that this, the BDS, is a legitimate way to compel Israel to negotiate Palestinian rights. Those against state that this is no more than propaganda and ignores the many times that Israel has indeed offered to negotiate, the constant attacks on Israel's sovereign state and the restraint Israel shows in face of those attacks, etc. Now, these two women petitioned Israel to visit. They were to visit mostly the border with Gaza and areas inside Judah and Samaria, or the West Bank, where Tlaib's family still lives. Israel granted them permission at first. U.S. President Trump then issued a statement that these two are anti-Semitic and hate Jews, and that Israel should not let them in. The Interior Minister of Israel, who is right-wing, and the Prime Minister, Bibi Netanyahu, rescinded their offer and decided that these two women cannot visit Israel, but Rashida Tlaib would be granted special humanitarian dispensation to visit her aged 90-year-old grandmother, and that's it. The Israeli leaders claim that they decided that since both these two supported BDS and do not acknowledge the right of Israel to exist, made them both hostiles. A new law passed by the Knesset a few years ago allows the government to deny access to anyone they feel is a threat to the country. This, of course, set off a firestorm of outrage across America and even the world. There were those who agreed with Israel's decision to not allow entry, but the majority of opinions from both sides of the aisle were pretty consistent that this was not a good idea. They feel that Israel, being a democratic country, was being, in the words of Thomas Friedman, op-ed writer for the New York Times, a banana republic. Many of the more liberal politicians criticized Israel for being too willful and even prejudiced. They were aghast that the government of Israel would treat certain members of the U.S. government in such an exclusive manner. They were very disappointed that Israel would be so willful, being the democracy that it holds itself up to be, and that even more disappointing was that it made Israel look to be discriminatory. Kevin McCarthy, the minority whip of the House of Representatives, made an interesting point. Representative McCarthy is a Republican and a supporter of President Trump. Here, he actually digressed with the president. He suggested that these two should have joined the delegation of other congresspeople on that junket. They should have been invited to see such monuments as Yad Vashem that honors and remembers the victims of the Holocaust. If they declined that invitation, then that would really have said it all. Why is Israel held to such a high standard? Have any Congresspeople asked to visit North Korea and visit the three-generation prison camps? Has anyone sought to boycott, divest, and sanction China for occupying Tibet, or Russia occupying Ukraine and Crimea, or the, gasp, U.S. government for occupying Native American land? In a recent portion of the Torah, Hashem told Moses to tell the Israelites to harass the Midianites, Tzror et ha-Midyanit, for trying to tempt the masses into misconduct. They were also ordered to take the land and eliminate all the pagans that were occupying the Promised Land. Yes, some were allowed to stay who agreed to obey the 7 Noahide laws. In that context, this isn't so far-fetched. On the other hand, we are also commanded to love our fellows as ourselves. The sages say one of the greatest mitzvot we can accomplish is turning an enemy into a friend. So, there is a precedent of tolerance and humanitarianism in our heritage. We are God's chosen people. He offered us the Ten Commandments and we accepted. We are a nation of priests, and this is why we're under the microscope. We're expected to be better. We have to be. Often that means to taking the higher road, whether we want to or not. And that's why we have commandments, right?